Hi, today we're talking about death, and we understand that death is a sensitive topic. If you find yourself triggered during this episode, maybe pause and talk to someone, reach out, get some help. They're here in Australia, there are places like Lifeline. We're not here to upset you, but we just give you the heads up. I think it's an important conversation to have. Hopefully it's a helpful conversation to have.
And a hopeful conversation.
Excellent. Yeah, that's what we hope. But we're just giving you a heads up that today we're talking about death and dying.
I had impending doom. I knew I was going to die. This was over.
Grief can stop people living.
I do fear dying, but not dying. What I fear is missing my family. I don't want to leave my people. You will hear stories of struggle, courage, and hope.
We talk about faith, no filter.
Welcome back to Filthy Hope.
Reverend Sister!
Reverend Brother, how are you?
I am well. Welcome back if you've been watching Filthy Hope before, or welcome to Filthy Hope. I'm John Humphries.
And I'm Rev Ness.
And Ness and I have radically honest conversations about really tough topics sometimes.
Yeah,
and today there is no tougher topic. We're talking about death.
Yeah,
Death.
that's right. So it's going to be a conversation.
Hopefully it's not a killer.
Yes, exactly. It
is a killer, but doesn't kill conversations.
Correct, yeah. And it's a conversation that I think is that we're going to have about faith with no filter today.
Yeah,
radically honest.
We're going to be radically honest about death and
we're not going to
the
curate how we
complexity.
say it. And we're just going to have one of those real honest conversations.
Yeah, so who knows where we're going. But we do know that we're going to die.
Yeah, we do. Can you remember?
Life is a sexually transmitted terminal disease.
Yeah, that it is. There's one sure thing. We are all going to end up in the same place, in death.
Unavoidable and inevitable.
Yeah.
We're all going to die. And the only exception, there's a couple of stories in the Bible where people got taken straight up to heaven, but pretty much all of us, we're going to die.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no surer thing. And my children absolutely hate it when Rob and I have a conversation around death and dying.
Yeah.
And we can talk about it we can kind of giggle about it, Rob and I think because of the stage of life we're at now.
Yeah.
And we've had many people die in our life and I in the line of my work and your work, we experience death often.
I did a funeral for a friend that I'd lost connection with, and now one of my regrets is that I didn't connect with him better. But after doing the funeral and the family telling me, and one of my mates telling me about how they had to think about who they'd get to do the funeral, I said, okay, I'm going to think about that now. So my family know who I want to do my funeral when I
that's
die.
awesome. But did you think about that at 25? Did you care about dying at 25?
No, I jumped off buildings, abseiled and did all sorts of stuff.
Crazy
and
stuff.
often when we're young, we don't think about death.
No, we don't. That's
and
right.
when we get older, maybe we sometimes think about too much death.
Yeah, and my children get horrified whenever Rob and I go away together, always without the kids. I have to give them the heads up on where everything is and codes and passwords and this is who you'll contact and our will is located here. And they just roll their eyes in horror. Can you not do that shit, Mum?
But the reality is there are some families.
What if you're not organised?
Yeah, well, we've got a story in our family of a friend. We called her the red wine girl. Her name was Belinda, but we had her over once and we're at Linda's parents, that's my wife, and they had this lovely light grey carpet and she spilt red wine on it. And we did all these terrible things to try and help it, but it didn't actually help. And Linda's mum solved it, but forever more she was known as the red wine girl. And she went on with a friend down to Benalla in a light plane and the plane crashed and she died. And
that
she's
was
not
over.
in our life.
Yeah.
We've had...
How old was she?
In her late 20s.
Yeah.
Recently we've just had the horrific incident here in Sydney at Bondi where two men filled with hate and prejudice came and shot
Yeah.
Shot people.
Innocent people.
Innocent people.
Yeah.
And death then became part of our culture, and we try and push it away, but it's real.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Death is scary though.
I think it is very scary. I remember I had a near-death experience.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of I think we're all fearful of death, and whether we call it fear or not. If you think about it, John, if you often hear people saying, I'm fearful of heights. Why are they fearful of heights? Because they're fearful of falling from that high spot and what? Dying.
Yeah.
I'm fearful of drowning out in the water. What, you're fearful of drowning in the water and dying.
Yeah.
I think death is something that we innately fear. But
because it's the unknown.
Yeah, it is.
We don't know what's going to happen.
And we don't want this life to end, because it's for many people it's a great thing. We like being here, right?
But there's a difference from having a fear that we might die to being fearful of death.
Yeah.
So I have a fear that, I might die before I've done all the things that I want to do.
Yes.
There's things I need to do. And I'd rather that I did them before I died than before that they didn't get undone.
Correct.
But I'm not scared of dying. It's not an anxiety that I have, or it's not a worry. I've faced my mortality.
You have.
I was going to kill myself at one stage.
Yep.
Luckily I got out. And if you want to look back, there's an episode where I talked about that. We did a live Filthy Hope about that. But I know some people do fear death, like it becomes an anxiety.
Yeah.
Especially because you experienced that a little bit after, because you had a massive heart attack.
Yeah, I did. I had what's called a spontaneous coronary arterial dissection, and the acronym is SCAD.
So your artery tore.
My right coronary artery tore, and then the arterial lining flapped over, which caused a blockage, so the blood couldn't then get through, and it's called a SCAD.
So it didn't rip open, bleeding everywhere. It just ripped in the inside
internally,
a bit, ripped off.
And caused blockage. It's called a SCAD heart attack.
And so your heart stopped?
My heart caused great pain.
All right, almost stopped.
Yeah, I got pain in my chest and in my jaw and down my left arm and in between my shoulder blades.
Thought you were going to die?
Yeah, I did. I had what the medical professionals called impending doom.
Yeah, it's a common symptom of a heart attack.
Yeah, I knew I was going to die. I knew this was over. And I happened to be in the UK, and I was in an ambulance, and I was with Rob, and we had to leave the kids at the hotel. And I remember saying to Rob, he's at the end of the stretcher and I'm in the ambo, one driving and one beside me. And I remember saying to Rob, with this feeling of impending doom that I am going to die, just tell the children that I love them.
Yeah.
Please go on and have a great life. I really love you. Do you know how much I love you? It was one of those really, I was actually, do you know what? Even though it was impending doom, the sense that I had was immeasurable peace.
Yeah.
That just washed over me in an absolutely phenomenal manner.
Yeah.
It was incredible. But what happened was then in my recovery of that, and once they found out that I'd had this tear, I experienced huge fear that it would happen again.
Which is sad because at that moment it was an amen.
Yeah.
It was, and the word amen in Hebrew is let it be so. I accept this. I'm going with this. I did. I agree.
In the moment.
And you had this sense of peace.
Yeah, I did.
And you were able to say, I want you to live well. An act of love, even in the midst of dying.
But,
and then this is a reality that when we talk about the fear of death, that sometimes, as you were talking about, we get this fear that then becomes life-limiting. It takes us over.
So it did become life-limiting for me.
Yeah.
So I would have any time that I would get a feeling in my chest, any time I would get a feeling in my left arm.
Just a sensation.
Anything, left side of my face, in my back. And I was a gym instructor. So I'm gym instructors are generally sore all the time, right? I lived my life in musculoskeletal soreness most of my life.
Yep.
So anytime I got a feeling, and it was always left side, anything on my left side, caused me great anxiety. And I experienced what the psychiatrist ended up calling a post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, because it takes you back to
because
that overwhelming sense.
Correct. At 48, I was living this great life. I was in top health, and all of a sudden my life changed in this one moment.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't planning on dying. I was not unwell. It was like all of a sudden I'm on this overseas holiday having an incredible time. Bam, shit happens.
Yeah.
And I have this incredibly distressing experience. So I experienced ongoing fear for dying, even though I knew that the feeling of what feels like going to die was actually peaceful.
Yeah.
So that was a head wreck, let me tell you, to unpackage all of that. And that's taken me, it's been 11 years now, John, since that happened. And
you've had periods where it's been worse because you've had health issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you end up on anxiety meds.
Yes, exactly.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
If they help.
Love an anxiety med, absolutely.
If that gets you
function.
The next space to recover. But the reality is that these things go in waves and they do come back to us.
Absolutely.
But death changes life. I think that's the amazing thing and also the scary thing, that death changes life. And when we live in denial of death, then we're not living necessarily real.
Yeah.
Because we're living in a dream, effectively. And we can sometimes take stupid risks. But when we live in fear of death, then we often stop living well as well because we become limited in life. And then the other part of death is, of course, when we lose somebody to death, then we enter into grief. And that also changes life. It changes our relationship because we lose somebody that we've related to.
Yes.
And like you with your anxiety, grief can stop people living. They become so stuck in sadness. Which is okay. You should feel sad because if you didn't love that person, you wouldn't feel sad. And because of that love, you're sad that they're gone. But they would want you, like you did to Rob, to live well, to keep going.
That's right.
But when we just get sad and then that sadness solidifies into depression or something like that.
And that's where I went.
We stop living.
Yeah,
we stop living well.
Yeah.
And there's a sad irony that we miss that person because they helped us live well, but we want to live well, but we stop living because we've lost that person. It's
it's an interesting thing. Grief is an interesting thing. And I think as a part of my SCAD journey, and I know this is quite common for SCAD survivors, is that I now live a life that was, I think of my life pre and post because I'm actually quite different. My life experiences and my life, how I show up for life is actually different now, having had that experience. And it's not I do fear dying, but not dying. What I fear is missing my family.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave my people.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave my job. I don't want to leave being a minister doing what I'm doing. So I'm fearful that that's going to end.
And you're
my
grieving.
People that I love.
You grieve before you even grieve.
Yeah, that's it. I'm going, oh, Lord, I don't want to die, man. I don't want to die. I'm going to be as healthy as I possibly can so that this never happens because I'm fearful that it will end. And the irony of it is it will end.
Yeah.
Vanessa, it's going to end and I know it's going to end.
But you might as well live well.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the message.
That is.
When we talk about that, I think of near-death experiences.
Yes.
So near-death experiences, there's a lot of research that have been done into near-death experiences. I remember a video I used to show it when I was a religious education teacher. And all these people who are either having a heart attack or something are technically dead for however long. And then they come back to life.
Yeah.
And they often tell these amazing experiences, and there's about 12 different commonalities that often exist within that. But one of the the commonalities is often they come back and they live an amazing life. One of the stories was a guy who was into finance and living really hard, and he had this near-death experience, and it changed his priorities.
Yeah.
He became a psychologist so that he could help people.
Wow.
Often people who've had a near-death experience become more altruistic in their way of living.
Yeah, I think that's 100%
And
right.
you have a favourite story of a little boy.
Yeah, Colton Burpo. I love his story, and I know there's probably no evidence to prove other than the stories that the family tell about his own journey to what he describes as heaven, to be with Jesus. But this incredible event happened. The mum and the dad, you can look at this on Google or YouTube. You can find his own story. It's most interesting.
And this book,
Heaven is for real. It's a great read. And the interesting thing that I remember about that story is that his mum and dad had a child that died prior to Colton being born, and she was a little girl.
And they'd never told him
Colton
about
didn't know
story.
about this little girl. And Colton, he dies on the table. And I'm hoping I got that information right. He has a goes to heaven experience. He goes up to heaven and he has this encounter with Jesus and
meets his sister.
And when he comes back, he tells the family that he met the sister.
And they're gobsmacked.
Yeah, totally.
He couldn't have known that.
Couldn't have known. It was and met the grandfather, and that he hadn't met either.
Oh,
and
okay.
the dad said, "What do you mean you met Grandpa?" "Oh, Pop, I met Pop." And then the dad, Mr. Burpo, shows pictures of Pop, and he says, "No, that's not Pop, silly. Pop doesn't wear glasses." I thought, "Oh my gosh, that's so." In the Bible, it talks about we will be restored, won't we? Yeah. And so maybe Pop's vision has been restored to perfect order, whatever that is.
Yeah.
In heaven, Pop didn't have glasses.
It's an amazing story.
It's a great story. I just
love
it.
We're not trying to convince you that
no.
you should believe in eternal life or anything like that. But another near-death experience in this this documentary was about a lady named Pam. Pam had an embolism on her brain, and to operate it on that, they had to kill her.
Yeah.
So they had to stop her body, and because an embolism is where your blood vessel has bulbed out and there's a risk that it would burst and cause massive stroke, she couldn't have her heart beating.
They had to stop the blood flow to the brain.
They had to stop her heart.
Yeah.
So they cooled her body right down. They put tape on her eyes so that she couldn't see. They put these clicking devices in her ears because they then wired up her head so that they could see that there was no brain function, because brain function would mean that she was partly conscious and that they didn't need that. And then then they cooled her body right down, and for that time that when they were doing the operation, her heart was stopped, so she was technically dead.
Yeah, yeah.
A very risky surgery, but the risk was that she would die otherwise.
The precision must have been off the charts.
And they'd talk to her about, they'd need to use a brain saw and cut open her head to get into her brain where this embolism was. And so she, when you think saw, what do you think of?
I think,
something like that. Well, she came back after having this near-death experience. She said she's in this place, she calls it walking on this light as it was the breath of God, and she met people that she knew who had died. And one of them actually told her she had to go back and pushed her back into her body, which she didn't want to go into because it was cold and uncomfortable.
Wow.
But the amazing thing is that she wasn't just clinically dead, but she was telling this story about the doctors. When she rose up out of her body, she could see them open this box that had been sealed for sterility and taking out this thing that looked like an electric toothbrush. And that was the brain saw.
Wow.
So it didn't look like that. It looked more like a drill.
Yeah, wow.
But she didn't know that's what a brain saw would look like.
Wow.
And then she tells this story of hearing the nurse where she couldn't hear anything. say, I can't find a vein to put her on bypass for when they restarted her heart. And they had to go in through her leg. A femoral artery, but that wasn't the plan.
Yeah.
And she came back and she was able to tell the doctors this story.
That's incredible.
And they said, there's no way
you could have known
that. You were technically dead.
Yeah.
Your eyes were closed. Your ears were blocked.
Yeah.
There was no function in your brain.
Yeah.
And you need a brain to be functioning to be able to have a memory and sensory. So again, this other amazing story. So death is real.
Yep.
It can be scary. But we don't need to fear it.
No.
I think that's the message that Colton came back and Pam did too.
Yes.
That we don't need to be afraid of death. And when we're too fearful of death or when we get locked into grief,
it can rob us of the now.
It robs us of living well. We get stuck in a moment in the past and we can't live into the present. That's not to be that we shouldn't be sad if we, if I was to lose my wife.
Devoed.
And you said to Rob, go on and live, probably meet somebody else.
Yes.
And that sometimes happens. I know a lovely couple at our church both experienced death of their partners and have found each other and they might be getting married soon. So it's not a devaluing of the person. It's not a desecration of their memory. It's actually a living, an honouring of the memory of the person who wants them to live well.
Yeah, 100%. You talked a little bit earlier about getting stuck.
Yeah.
I had a real experience of that stuckness, and it was my heart attack happened on the 1st of January 2015, and this was just a couple of days before the 31st of October. And I know that of the same year, 2015, I was stuck in time, stuck in that moment of the heart attack, and I could not unstuck myself.
Yeah.
And something happened. So I had been having some counselling and I had been put on some medication because I was really anxious and depressed. They understood that I was really depressed because of this stuckness.
Yeah.
And I said to my family, it's Halloween on the 31st. Would it be okay if we set up Christmas? Because Christmas is a really happy time for me. And at Christmas, we would often be in Disneyland.
Yeah.
And I know I circle back to Disneyland again, but it is my happy place, right? And I just circle back to safe child stuff for me is really important to my psyche. And the family were just so, I think, relieved that I was speaking normally about life and probably positively about life because I had been very depressed. They said, sure, Mum, we'll set up Christmas. We love setting up Christmas. Let's set up Christmas. We set up Christmas on the 31st, which happened to be Halloween, which is a weird time to set up Christmas, but we did it. And the interesting thing was in setting up Christmas, it unstuck me.
Yeah.
There was some psychological thing that happened.
Yep.
I don't know if it was God or if it was the doing of the happy memories or a combination of all of the above.
Or to reminding you to live.
Right.
What is good to live.
Right. And the family comes together and we have these great little rituals around Christmas and setting up the tree, etc. And I was catapulted out of depression.
Into good life.
Into good life again. It was quite extraordinary. And I remember saying as we were setting up the Christmas tree, oh my gosh, look, I remember this cognitive moment. Oh, look at all the dust on the buffet. Gosh, I wonder how long that's been there. And I remembered I remember this moment thinking, far out.
You've been paralysed.
Paralysed, I hadn't even dusted.
Not physically paralysed, but emotionally.
Well, I had been paralysed for 3 months, unable to move.
Yeah.
There was a whole period of time when I was on bed rest.
Bed rest, yeah.
Yeah,
so not full paralysis, but just not being able to actually live well.
I had to medically heal my heart.
Yeah.
And so in doing that, I had to do that through keeping my heart rate really low and I was on medication for that to just stay super low and looking a lot at the ceiling and at TV and reading, right? And so now I'm moving around the house.
This is natural to feel a sense of hopelessness.
Oh,
what if this never gets better?
better?
What if this is my life forever.
Yes, John. And I'd gone from being an instructor who taught spin classes and Pilates classes.
The grief.
Hyper.
You've lost
physical.
all this great stuff of being.
Started watching my muscles
and who
wasting.
you are.
Yes, I'd lost identity. It was awful.
Yeah.
And I wasn't yet loaded into my identity as minister yet. I was in my first year of college. I was in seminary.
Yeah.
And they had suggested, because I had dealt with this, Reverend Mother in her blessed state and knew the state of my health, had said, actually, why don't you pause this for a period? And I remember going, no, please don't make me do that. Please let me keep going. This is giving me hope.
Yeah.
This will give me hope for my future, because this is where
and for those who
don't
know, you might hear Reverend Mother and think that
Ness
was a nun.
No.
No, we just call this lovely lady who is the principal of our theological college.
Reverend Mother.
Oh, no, she was the director of formation.
Yeah,
she looked after those of us who were candidates.
That's right.
We just called her because she looked after us Reverend Mother.
Yeah,
she wasn't actually called Reverend Mother.
No, I just called her that. That was her name. Still is to today, bless her.
But she's part of that story.
She is.
Again, sometimes people want us to stop.
Yeah. For my well-being, she did. She did all the right things.
but not understanding that you then were able to use your agency to say, actually, this gives me hope.
Well, she did, didn't she? Yeah. She allowed me to continue.
When she listened.
Yeah, she did, and she cared very much for my formation and my health and well-being, and she let me keep going.
And that's really important, that we don't not listen to people. Often we respond to people who have faced death, whether it's grief or like you, or me, being suicidal. We give them platitudes, or we say, just get better. You just need to get over this.
Just rest.
Just get over it. And you can't. You need to learn to carry it in a different way.
Yep.
You need to. I was an abseil instructor.
Right.
And if you don't know what abseiling is, you're hooked to a rope and you're basically falling off a cliff.
Or backwards down a cliff, or frontwards.
I used to do it frontwards as well.
I bet you did.
But there's that moment where you're about to go over the cliff you're looking down and it's a long way down. And as you said, you might feel and fall to your death, because that's what the body's telling you. Your brain's going, you're going to die.
This is not normal. Yeah.
But I remember, it says how nerdy I am. There's a thing in the book June and the movie June about fear, and it's a mantra. I will face my fear. I will let my fear pass over and through me.
Yeah, wow.
And when the fear has gone, I will turn my mind's eye to where it has been, and only I will remain.
Ooh.
And for me, it spoke to this thing that it's okay to feel feel scared,
feel the fear, and do it anyway.
but to then lean into it, literally, lean into it and go, I'm in control. I've got a safety line on me.
You're held.
And we're going to have fun.
Yeah.
And I know I've done it before, because it still is there,
Yeah.
Leaping off something high still goes, whoa, that's a bit scary. And then I have to lean into it, that I embrace it and allow it to be, that I might then experience the next thing, which is an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And I think the same's with death.
Yeah, I agree.
It's okay and natural to fear it, and that fear becomes even stronger the closer we've been to it. It's like a big stone dropped in the pond of our life. The waves are big.
Yeah.
But we can choose to surf those waves or allow them to wash over us and drown us in a way. So we get this choice.
And I think the positive thing that I take from my own personal experience is that I think it's helped me in my job now as a minister.
Yeah.
It's helped me because I am confronted with death a lot in the nature of my job, and I get to speak into lives and sit with people at the end of life in a way that I can be really present to that.
And just listen. Without
with
just
great
speaking
empathy.
don't worry, you're going to go and be with God.
No.
That's not necessarily a helpful thing.
I don't know that they're going to go and be with God.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not the boss of that.
That's our hope.
Yeah, it is our hope.
It's a filthy hope.
But I'm not the boss of that.
Yeah. And just telling people stuff that's a road answer isn't helpful. It's listening to them.
Absolutely.
So death is real.
Yes.
We can't avoid it. It's
Definitely
a part
not.
of life.
It's something we've all got in common.
Yeah. And when we experience it, when it comes near
Yeah.
to us or to the people that we love, or even in our community when we've seen things, it changes things.
Yep.
It does change our lives. And it sucks.
It's not fun.
It's not fun.
No. It's hectic.
It's hectic.
Yeah.
But there's a hope. There's this sense of peace that people who've died and come back we might learn from them. We do have our beliefs and faith about what might come next.
Some people do.
Whatever it is.
Yep.
Well, the Bible talks about that. So for Christianity, sometimes that's a lot of help for people.
Yep.
That they believe that they'll be with God and the people that they love will be with God and they'll be with God and those people.
Yep. It was funny though
which
when I was...
gives us a hope.
Yeah, definitely. In my dying experience, that impending doom, I didn't actually think about heaven.
No.
I didn't think about my fancy car or my home or my handbag or any of the shit that I worry about day to day. All I cared about was my two daughters and my husband.
Yeah,
that was it. That was the thing.
But you wanted them to live well.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And you wanted good for them.
And I wanted them to know that I love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Ooh, it's a biggie.
Wherever you are, if you've recently experienced loss, we're really sorry. But know that there is hope. But grief is a process and you sometimes need help. So if you're struggling with it, reach out. We've got free counselling at Uniting Heart and Soul, or there is lots of people in the community, or talk to people, join a group. They are often really helpful.
Very.
If you have been through trauma or illness, or maybe you're dying yourself,
and you need
again,
a compassionate
we're sorry.
witness.
We're sorry.
Deeply.
But our encouragement is to find ways to still live well in that moment. Wow.
Thanks for the convo, John.
Thank you. I think we've been honest.
Very.
And it's a hard thing, but there is hope.
Yeah.
And when we live well,
then
death is less important. It's a reality that we face. But life is important too.
Yeah, 100%.
It's as important.
Yep.
In fact, it's more important.
Yeah.
We
Amen.
live. Let us live well. I hope you have a really great life, that you live well, and reach out and get some help if life isn't the best at the moment.
Yeah.
And we'll put some links in the
Good message.
in the description.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.